Hi there, it's Brittany from Practice Indie Yoga, and I've got a little one pose wonder moment for you today. One of the most common complaints that I hear from yoga students is hip inflexibility. Now, when your hips are pretty inflexible, when your hip muscles are very tight, that can lead to all kinds of things. Low back pain, glute pain, instability with your movement, a lack of balance, the list goes on. And there's one pose that I kind of give out as homework super duper often, kind of across the board. This is a pose that's going to be helpful for tight hips. It's called the Z sit, or in yoga terms, we call it deer pose. So let's talk about the basics of your hip mobility and how that joint works, and talk about the finer points of deer pose to help you maybe feel a little bit better through that body zone. So basics of your hip joint. Our hips can rotate in two different directions. We have external rotation, where the femur, or that upper leg bone, rotates outwards to the sides so that our knees and our toes face away from the middle. We also have internal rotation, where that femur, that upper leg bone, rotates towards the middle so that our toes and our knees face in together. What deer pose does is, from side to side, we work both internal and external rotation of the hips at the same time. So the best way to set up for this pose is to make sure that you keep a blanket or maybe a couch cushion or something nearby if you feel that your knees or your hips, your bum need a little extra cushion as you stretch. So how I'm going to start is with my right leg staying forward. I'm going to slide my left leg out of the way, and I'm going to bend my right knee about 90 degrees. So now, when I look down, I can see my right shin straight down in front of me. This is putting this right hip in external rotation. Awesome. When you do this, you might only get this far. You might get to this point and say, oh my gosh, my right knee is so high up off the ground. That's okay. We all start somewhere. It wasn't that long ago that my knee was up this high too. So just stick with it. Now we've got external rotation here. We're gonna take this left hip and internally rotate it, bringing our left knee towards our right foot. Eventually that right knee will drop down towards the mat or towards the floor as you hug that left heel in a little closer to your left bum. For a side view, this is what we're working with. So I've got my right foot kind of touching the top of my left thigh. I've got my left knee bent so that my left foot is sliding in towards my left hip. And from here, what I'm gonna do is just bring my fingers to frame my right knee, and I'm gonna floss. That is to say, I'm gonna wiggle that hip all around and get that junk out of there. So basically what I'm doing is lifting my left hip and then lowering my left hip back down, lifting it again, lowering it back down. Kind of follow your intuition here. If it feels nice to lean to the left, cool. There are gonna be limiting factors here. So for example, my limiting factor here is the fact that my left hip can only internally rotate so far. That's when I feel bone on bone, and that's the limit of my range of motion. I'm not gonna push it any further than that. After I spend maybe 2-3 minutes or so in my deer pose, my Z sit on this side, I'm gonna switch slowly. I will bring that left foot through center. I'll bring that right foot through center, and then I'll switch sides. So now it's my left shin that's coming directly forward. Can you already see how much higher this left knee stays for me personally? I'll bend that right knee, send my right knee towards my left foot, and hug that right heel in towards my right hip. This would be a great place for me to have a blanket or a cushion, maybe a pillow of some sort, because for me, this right hip doesn't go down nearly as far as it did on the left side. So here is where I'm doing the work. Here's a side view. Again, what I'm doing is I'm using my hands to frame my left knee, and I'm just gonna floss. I'm gonna pick up my right hip and lower it down. Pick it up and lower it down. The more that you lean to the left, the lower that left the more that you reach that right hip back, the higher that left knee will go. Eventually, as we build up more movement, more range of mobility, both the hips and the knees will stay quite low to the ground. I'm not gonna lie, I'm feeling a lot of sensation through the top of that right hip, but as soon as I spend my 2 to 3 minutes on that side, I'll release one leg, then the other, shake out my legs just a little bit, and you should feel a pretty noticeable difference just in how well your hips kind of move around just in those general internal and external rotation patterns. So that's my little tip of the day. Z-sit is kind of the super pose. It's like the super food of a hip-based yoga practice, internal and external rotation at the same time. I would love to know if you have questions, comments, concerns, if there are specific joints or body parts that are ailing you, and we'll chat more yoga. We'll make it happen. So send us a message, leave a comment, post a thread, whatever means with which you are interacting with this video. Leave us a way to get in touch with you, and we can't wait to practice with you more. Have a great day.